What's up, everybody? This is Walla, and this is the newest and last episode of Walanalysis. And so, for the footage today, we have a game of Supremacy, where we take their quests, and we'll see how it goes. But first thing first, I want to just cover. I didn't really explain the whole point of this series was, but I sort of let it die about a year ago with only like 2 episodes, and it wasn't really like. I wasn't really proud of it, but I decided to keep it online and whatnot. And then just recently, it resurfaced, and some people were checking it out and stuff, and they're just wondering why and like, why would I do that? For like a sub 1.0 KD Destiny player, like why is he telling me how to play? Like ha lol. But really, it was the philosophy behind Walanalysis was more so to just analyze my own gameplay, and that was something that I picked up from like places like Crucible Playbook, was that they really stressed to just record your games, your good and bad games, and then just play them back every once in a while to see what you did wrong, or the things that you did correctly and stuff. And so for me personally, Walanalysis, and at least the footage that I uploaded, was stuff that I wanted to share, that was more so like of critiquing my style, and not necessarily like teaching people, because and I'm gonna get to that in a bit, but like there's always going to be someone better than you, and there's always going to be someone worse than you, and that's something that's a mindset that I think every person should bring into the game, especially if you want to enjoy it for a long time. So that's what I want to cover first, is like the relative mindset, or at least like your performance compared to other people, is what I mean by the whole relative aspect of it. Whether you're a 0.86 KD player, trying his best to improve, or you're like a 2.0 trials god, there's always going to be someone that's better than you. In terms of that trials god, there's going to be someone that has a 3.0, or whatever. Like if you're just looking strictly statistics or gunplay or whatever, what different aspects of the game. And same thing on the opposite spectrum, you have that 0.86 player, and there's going to be a 0.6 or a 0.5 person, or someone who has never even touched the Crucible at all. And then you're going to go in there and probably dominate them, assuming that you're playing to your best of your abilities. And then you're going to get owned by people that are better, and that's just the way it is. If in a perfect match-made system, in theory, your win-loss ratio should be 50%, because you're always getting correctly matched against the people that are like equally skilled. But it's always a toss-up in the air, and it just determines, or who brings their A game will determine who wins and whatnot, instead of it being slightly skewed based on like some weird matchmaking voodoo that Bungie does. So there's nothing wrong, walking around, thinking you're hot shit, and you probably are, because you either have numbers or performance or both that prove that. But just remember, there's always someone out there that you may have not faced yet, or that you have faced, and then they're gonna show you up, and then what do? You pretty much have to just keep that in mind, that it's always gonna be, you're always gonna be in the middle of your own spectrum that you've created, because you're always going to be in competition with yourself. Like when you're trying to improve yourself, when you're trying to watch your old footage, you're doing that so then you can improve, not necessarily like compete against others, but so then that you could do better than how you were yesterday. A good example of this is like I go to the gym every once in a while. I worship Broden, and I go to the temple of Swoldom, and I'll see bigger dudes than me and stuff like that, and you're gonna hear it everywhere you go, like don't pay attention to those guys that lift more than you. Either they're ego lifting, or they're just bigger, and or possibly more genetically better than you. That can be the truth, or they have more training. So whatever it is, you can't compare yourself to them, because that's just going to discourage you from improving your performance and your weightlifting abilities. And then at the same time, you know, you're gonna have that dude who just barely got off the couch, you know, yesterday, and he found the courage to actually go to the gym and start, you know, improving his health and his life. And so he's probably only gonna barely be able to do the bar, you know, and then you can lift obviously more than that, hopefully, and if not, no big deal. But just for my example's sake, so what I'm trying to say is, you know, you're always going to be in the middle of that spectrum. There's always going to be someone who's just starting off, who's not as skilled as you, doesn't have as much training. And then there's going to be the other people that are naturally better, or they just have more experience and that are better than you. So to keep yourself in the middle of that and to have that healthy mindset is really important and part of enjoying the game and not getting burnt out and whatnot. And I guess the other side of that, of having that mindset and philosophy, is attitude. Now, you know, WalaStika analysis. I like to combine words and make up words and think I'm really clever and stuff. So I'm gonna say this: metatude, right? Meta attitude, because it's pretty damn clever. But what I mean by that is basically, you know, someone who's really having fun and enjoying their game. You know, they've understood the best guns and stuff in Destiny. You know. And then suddenly, like, when Bungie comes out with, like, a balance patch, they can't adapt. They cannot adapt. They're like the dinosaur, and the balance patch is like this big-ass meteor, and it just crushes their world, and they just go extinct because they're here sitting with their favorite hand cannon and their favorite snipers. And suddenly, you know, the balance patch comes out, and they make a small tweak, you know, maybe to the snipers. They make a small little tweak that definitely affects their game and then how everybody else plays the game. And they just freak out. They start hating the game that they supposedly love and they supposedly excel at and spend a lot of time playing. So, you know, that doesn't make sense. You know, why are you hating and crapping on a game when you enjoy it so, or at least when you play it so much, but apparently you don't enjoy it anymore? Then don't play it. You know, no one's forcing you to. And then number two, it's kind of like, just adapt, because are you telling me that the only reason that you're top tier, or you know the only reason that you carry people is because of the guns, or is it your actual gunplay? Is it your mindset? Is it you as a player, or is it the weapons? So that's something to think about with the metatude, is whether or not your skills are based solely on the loadout, the current, you know, what the top tier meta guns, or if you can adapt and really, like, you're just an overall better player, you can kind of kick ass with any loadout, or no loadout at all. Just go shoulder charge everybody. But that's pretty much it on that aspect. The next thing I want to cover is kind of related to loadouts and guns and whatnot, but if you're so used to, you know, a combination, mix it up, especially if the game is getting bland for you. Or, like, if you don't like the current balance change, mix it up. You have a crap ton. You have a vault full of guns. You've been collecting all these other guns, hopefully. And just change it up. Try a different playstyle. Try to adapt and switch loadouts depending on the map. Or even the 2 other players that you're playing, if you're playing Trials, you know, or the 5 other players. And that's another thing to consider, too. If you're playing a 6v6 game or 3v3, that might determine what weapons, you know, you use. I'm not going to tell you what weapons to use because, like I said, you know, this sub 1.0 KD player is not going to tell you how to play the game, but I might, you know, hopefully just plant some seeds as to how to approach things, like different mindsets and whatnot. So if the map is more of a close range map, like Cauldron, or I don't know, Anomaly, then not that you cannot use snipers, and not that there's no lanes in those maps, but depending on how the game's flowing, how your opponents, what they're using, change it up, learn how to use shotguns, learn how to use fusion rifles and throw everybody off. They're gonna get pissed because they're dying from fusion rifles. Like, who the hell uses fusions? So there's a possibility that you can even tilt the opposing players. So there's like a psychological aspect to it too. But when you go in there with the standard meta loadouts, you know, they know what to expect, and they're going to be using the same thing against you. And then you're just going to complain and then find some other excuse as to why you're losing, or just totally ignore those reasons if you're kicking the ass, and then you don't take time to self-analyze or Walanalyze. But you get my point. The whole thing is just to take a step back and look at your game from a different perspective. And I hope I've provided some starting points for that. Well, so that's it, everybody. That's the last episode of Walanalysis. It won't be the last video I make for this channel, obviously, but I've just been kind of working on things. And related to my last topic, for me personally, I'm going to change things up too. And I actually started playing with a controller again. So I know you guys have known me as the mouse and keyboard, mediocre player, but I actually did not see any personal improvement stats-wise compared to my first year, compared to year one. So I'm gonna just mix it up a bit, go back to controller, and this last Supremacy game actually was on my controller. So the first day back, so it shows me trying to get used to it again, and you may not even notice a difference, and if you don't, then I guess something's working, or maybe not. But regardless, that's what I encourage you to do. Just change it up. If things are feeling stale, mix it up a bit. I guess that's the general wall analysis tip here, the Walla tip. But hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll be making more videos. I have some crazy Rumble games that I kind of want to like commentate and just poke fun at some good friends that I played, and I learned from them, and so those will go up sometime soon, maybe not. But anyway, I hope to see you out in the Crucible, and enjoy. Peace out.